A stark warning: Israel's message to Lebanon. Israel and Lebanon have a long and troubled history. Their relationship is marked by conflict and mistrust. Recently, Israel issued a chilling warning to Lebanon. They threatened to bomb Lebanon back to the Stone Age. This statement has sent shockwaves through the region. It raises serious questions about the future of these two nations. The world is watching closely. Will this be another chapter in a long-running conflict, or is there hope for a peaceful resolution? The situation is complex. It involves historical grievances, political tensions, and the presence of powerful armed groups. Understanding this complex web is vital to grasping the gravity of Israel's warning. The international community is calling for calm. They urge both sides to engage in dialogue. But with tensions running high, the path to peace seems precarious at best. The shadow of conflict, a history of tensions. The roots of the Israel-Lebanon conflict run deep, marked by wars, invasions, and a struggle for power. The creation of Israel in 1948 displaced many Palestinians. Some fled to Lebanon, adding to its complex demographics. Lebanon became a battleground for various factions. Israel launched several invasions, notably in 1982. Hezbollah, backed by Iran, filled the void left by the PLO. This ongoing tension is at the heart of the current crisis. Echoes of war. Recent clashes and rising tensions. Recent years have seen a resurgence of violence and tension along the Israel-Lebanon border. Small-scale clashes and skirmishes have become increasingly common, raising fears of a larger conflict erupting. These incidents are not isolated. They reflect the deep-seated animosity and mistrust between the two nations. One of the main flashpoints has been the Shebaa Farms area. This small piece of land is claimed by both Lebanon and Israel. Hezbollah has used this disputed territory as a base for launching attacks on Israeli targets. Another point of contention is Hezbollah's growing military capabilities. The group has amassed a large arsenal of rockets and missiles. They are capable of striking deep inside Israeli territory. This has heightened Israel's security concerns. The recent exchange of fire, which prompted Israel's stark warning, was triggered by a rocket attack from Lebanon. While Israel blames Hezbollah for the attack, the group has not officially claimed responsibility. Regardless of who fired the rockets, the incident highlights the volatility of the situation. It demonstrates how quickly a minor clash can escalate into a full-blown war. Back to the Stone Age, deciphering Israel's threat. Israel's threat to bomb Lebanon back to the Stone Age is a deeply troubling statement. It evokes images of widespread destruction and suffering. It's important to understand the meaning behind these words and their potential impact. At its core, the statement is a warning. It's a message from Israel to Lebanon, and to Hezbollah in particular. It says, if you continue to threaten our security, we will respond with overwhelming force. This is not an empty threat. Israel has a history of using military force in the region. The phrase "back to the Stone Age" is particularly jarring. It suggests a level of destruction that goes beyond traditional military targets. It implies targeting civilian infrastructure. This includes power grids, water treatment plants, and communication networks. Such an attack would be devastating for Lebanon. It would cripple the country's already fragile infrastructure. It would also lead to widespread civilian casualties. The use of such language by Israeli officials has drawn condemnation from many in the international community. Section 5: Lebanon on the brink, the human cost of conflict. Lebanon is a nation already grappling with numerous challenges. It faces a severe economic crisis, political instability, and the lingering effects of the 2020 Beirut port explosion. Another war would be catastrophic for the Lebanese people. The human cost of conflict is, well, immeasurable. It goes far beyond the immediate casualties of war. It includes the long-term physical and psychological trauma inflicted on civilians. It also encompasses the displacement of families, the destruction of homes and livelihoods, and the disruption of essential services like healthcare and education. Lebanon's infrastructure is already strained. It would be ill-equipped to handle the devastation of another war. Hospitals are already overwhelmed. They would struggle to cope with the influx of casualties. The country's power grid is unreliable at best. A widespread attack would plunge Lebanon into darkness, further hindering relief efforts. The economic consequences would be equally dire. Lebanon's economy is on the brink of collapse. A war would decimate what little is left of the country's industries and businesses. It would also lead to hyperinflation and widespread unemployment. Section 6. The Hand of Hezbollah, a proxy in the crosshairs. Hezbollah plays a central role in the Israel-Lebanon conflict. The group's actions significantly impact the dynamics between the two nations. Hezbollah is a Shia Islamist political party and militant group based in Lebanon, formed in the 1980s during the Lebanese Civil War. Its primary objective was to resist Israeli occupation. Now it's a powerful force in Lebanese politics, with a formidable military wing, supported by Iran financially and militarily, amassing a large arsenal of weapons. Israel views Hezbollah as a major threat. Israel targets Hezbollah positions to degrade its capabilities. International response and the UN's role. The international community is watching the escalating tensions with growing concern. World leaders urge restraint and call for de-escalation. The UN plays a crucial role in mediating and preventing conflict. The UN Security Council has met to discuss the situation. They express deep concern and call for maximum restraint. UNIFIL has intensified patrols along the Blue Line. The UN focuses on preventing escalation and fostering dialogue. Section 8. Charting a path forward. Diplomacy or destruction. The situation on the Israel-Lebanon border remains extremely volatile. The threat of a major conflict looms large. The path forward is fraught with uncertainty. It presents a stark choice: diplomacy or destruction. Diplomacy, while challenging, offers the only viable path to a lasting peace. It requires both sides to engage in good faith negotiations. They need to address the underlying issues fueling the conflict. This includes Hezbollah's disarmament, the demarcation of the Lebanon-Israel border, and finding a solution for Palestinian refugees in Lebanon. However, the current climate of mistrust and animosity makes dialogue extremely difficult. Hezbollah remains committed to its armed struggle against Israel. Israel, for its part, is wary of making concessions that could be perceived as weakness. The alternative to diplomacy is a catastrophic war that would have devastating consequences for both sides and the wider region. Such a conflict would result in massive casualties, widespread destruction, and further instability in an already volatile part of the world. Section 9. The Uncertain Future. Hope for Peace in a Volatile Region. The future of the Israel-Lebanon conflict hangs in the balance. The recent exchange of fire and Israel's stark warning have raised fears of a wider conflagration. However, amidst the tension and uncertainty, there remains a glimmer of hope. The international community's unified call for de-escalation and dialogue provides a small window of opportunity. Both sides must seize this opportunity to step back from the brink and engage in meaningful negotiations. The road to peace will be long and arduous. It will require patience, compromise, and a willingness to address the legitimate grievances of all parties involved. Failure to find a peaceful solution will have dire consequences for the region. It will lead to more suffering, more destruction, and further entrench the cycle of violence that has plagued the Middle East for far too long. The world is watching, hoping that reason and diplomacy will prevail over violence and destruction.